In the next part, we will present some realizations and collaborations supported by Into Power. Now, our first speaker is Project Manager of the Energy Cluster Denmark. He will tell us more about the online platform testfacilities.eu. A platform that makes test facilities accessible to SMEs. You could actually compare it a bit to Airbnb. It's a kind of search engine with all the facilities in the North Sea region with all their characteristics. We'll learn more about it from Christian Munk Jensen.
Hello, my name is Christian. I'm a project manager at Energy Cluster Denmark. And I expect that my presentation will be up shortly. I'll tell you a bit about, briefly about Energy Cluster Denmark, and then about why it's necessary to carry out such an online platform, or make such an online platform, and then I'll walk you through the website itself. It's a bit blurry for me, but I guess the rest of you can see it okay. Yep. So here you can see a few facts about Energy Cluster Denmark. The core of what we do is to initiate and facilitate joint development projects with concrete product output, such as a drone that can deliver packages for technicians offshore or something. But we also do sort of more supportive projects for innovation like this one. Here's a brief overview of our members. So, looking at why did we at all start to consider a website for test facilities? If you look on the left, there's a picture of my house that I bought a few years ago, and some apartments in Hamburg. And on the right, you can see some test facilities. And what do they have in common? Maybe you're thinking. But when I wanted to it can be hard to find the right house, like to buy, or the right apartment to rent on your holiday. Similarly, it's hard to find the right test facility. It's usually quite costly. And buying a house, or building a house, or building a test facility is a large capital investment. But in both cases, utilization is fairly low. I mean, except now in the houses where we're all sitting at home. But a couple of years ago, when I bought my house, I went to a website, I typed in between this many and this many square meters, this area, this many rooms. I wanted to say wood somewhere in the description because I wanted to live near some woods. And then I got a list of 30 houses in that area. I saw a few, bought one. If you compare that with test facilities where, and it's the same when I rent an apartment with Airbnb, for example. But if you want to get a good overview of test facilities, at least there didn't used to be any easy way to get that overview. And that's why we've made testfacilities.eu. But if we look a bit more at sort of the challenge that we are addressing here, we carried out a fair amount of interviews and a questionnaire, and you can see that it was primarily corporate or primarily private enterprises and more smaller organizations than large ones that responded. And most people agree that test facilities are important. And if you look on here, we can see that owners of test facilities, and there's quite a few and of all different sizes of companies, often naturally carry out tests for themselves, but quite a lot do not carry out any tests, like any external testing, using their test facilities. And if we look a bit more into that, there's the fewer test facilities a company has, the less likely they are to carry out tests for others. So there's an interesting fact there. And if we look at how people are finding test facilities, it's like personal network is a clear number one, and then searching on Google, an internal company overview, or people's own web pages. If you imagine if I had to rely on that when I wanted to find a house to buy, like calling people I knew and asking if they knew someone was selling a house, or searching on Google for people's own websites advertising their house. It would be a daunting task, to say at least, just like finding the right test facilities. And very few people strongly agree that it's easy to find and access the right test facility. And a fair amount thinks that it's, to some degree, not that hard. But if we then look into, in the interviews, we could see that the main barrier is actually just knowing that the test facility is there. And this graph should be read as, I know the relevant test facilities owned by, and then in the upper left corner, companies in my region. And then you can see that about a little more than 15% think they know them very well. And on the other end, around 10% don't know relevant test facilities owned by companies in their region. They don't know it at all. It's not all just relevant test facilities. And then as we go to a country and the North Sea region and Europe, it becomes less and less. And I would even say this is extremely optimistic. I have never met these people who know all the relevant test facilities in Europe very well. That would of course made life easier, but I haven't been able to find these and actually make them tell me where they are. Then if you look to the right, so what I'm saying here is that I think people are being a bit optimistic about how well they know test facilities. If you look at the right, it looks it's the same, but for research test facilities owned by research institutions. And at first glance, it looks similar. But when you look closer, there's no dark green color. There's actually just one person who thinks that he or she knows test facilities owned by a research institution in his or her region very well. So I think that should be sort of a wake-up call for research institutions that at least it's an obvious way to start a collaboration project with a company because they know that you have a test facility that would be relevant for them to access. One example of it is that I talked with an engineering company that had been working with flow models for wind for many years, and they didn't know of the wind tunnel in a university just an hour's drive away from them that would fit their development project pretty well. So there's a huge knowledge gap here. So to summarize, test facilities are important, but many that own test facilities don't carry out external tests. They are mainly found by Googling and personal network. Only 1/3 agrees that it's easy to find and access test facilities, and few have a good overview of the test facilities that already exist, and only one respondent knew the relevant test facilities known by research institutions in their own region very well. To address that challenge, we have made testfacilities.eu, and it's in many ways very similar to Airbnb, that you can go in and you search, you find a test facility, but then we just give you the contact information and then you'll have to settle the rest yourself. We're not involved in any booking of test facilities, and we don't ask any, doesn't take any commission or something. But naturally, there's a bigger difference in between two pool test facilities and a pool test facility and a wind tunnel than there is between an apartment and a house. So there's one category for each test facility. So if you click on pool test, then you can see the pool tests. Then you can filter at least this many tons pool, because that's what you need. Maybe not more than 1,000, because then it'll be too expensive. Then you get a list, and you can go in and see sort of a quick overview, and there's a free text field where they can enter what they want, and then there's the contact information. So it's it's just like Airbnb. We have also carried out some webinars on test facilities where we could go a bit more into depth, and I think also the big interest for this, with more than 250 participants from 24 different countries, shows that there is an interest in knowing more about test facilities. So to summarize, the advantage of testfacilities.eu is that anyone can enter their test facility into the website, no matter how many they have or who they are, or where they are placed. One test facility should usually be one listing. So it's not, we have wind tunnels, but we have one wind tunnel that can do this, one wind tunnel that can do this, etc. Because this enables the detailed search function where you can filter, so you only see the ones that you need. Thank you for your time. I'll be available for questions in the test facility booth, if you have any.
Thank you, Christian, for this clear explanation. Now, we love to make things more concrete with a testimonial of the CEO of Polytech in Denmark. Polytech is one of the test facilities that is on the platform, and because of being on that platform, they got new customers. Now, here is for you a video on that story from Kirkegaard.
It's going to benefit test facility owners and also the industry. Having a website like this, customers will know that they can find these services very, very easily, and they'll know this is the place to look when they're looking for expanded testing capabilities.
This is our newest test installation where we are able to test rain erosion performance on various materials and substrates with the highest speed available in the business. Being part of IntroPower has made it possible for Polytech to broaden our partnerships with other European test facilities. We have created new partnerships actually. We have established new relations with customers and suppliers. We are now helping other test institutes in Europe with our competences. So all in all, it has been a win-win situation.
Jeez. And there's more. A second way to push your SME to the next level is by listening to webinars about test facilities. Now, together, Simon Johannes Stark, the Technology and Innovation Advisor of DMEC in the Netherlands, and Tom Baur, who's here, who's business developer of the Blue Accelerator Belgium, they will tell you more about it.
Okay, hello, my name is Tom Baur. I'm from the POM West-Vlaanderen in Belgium, and we indeed operate and own actually one of those test facilities. But let me first introduce my colleague, in a way, Simon, who will tell a little bit more about test facilities. I think before I hand it over to you, Simon, I think it's important to emphasize the key relevance of test facilities. They connect SMEs with the larger players, and in that way accelerate the innovation that is still going on, obviously, in the offshore wind energy, as well as in other marine energy developments. But let's start with DMEC. My first question is, what unique aspects are there of the DMEC facility? Over to you, Simon.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Tom, for the introduction and for the question. I think one key word that you just mentioned is accelerate, and I think this describes us as an organization pretty well. We're located in the harbour of Scheveningen. We see a nice picture of it there in the background as well, from which we are offering much more than just testing services. We are quite a diverse team, with experts from investment and financing, business and market development, as well as engineering and certification. And this actually gives us the quite unique opportunity to be placed right at the interface between technology development and commercial development. And that allows us to help companies exactly across this kind of transition.
How can DMEC support developers?
So just to give a few examples around the testing, of course, we can give them support in something that you've just seen in the showcase of the test facility website as well. We can help them finding the right test sites and laboratories for their needs, but also prepare test plans, of course. But for larger scale demonstrations, we actually have a quite strong expertise also when it comes to certification. And there we are offering a technology qualification process which can be seen as a preparation for achieving prototype or type certification, especially for novel technologies. And also, I think something very unique that we offer is in case of larger, more expensive demonstrations or projects or just company development in general, that we are offering support for capital raise campaigns where we offer our expertise and investment through an investment readiness assessment.
Mm-hmm. And at what specific stage can DMEC support developers?
So, as I just said, our strength is very much coming into play during the engineering and optimization stage of development. And from there on, really all the way through to full commercialization. However, also for early stage and concept developments and SMEs, which are at this point of their development, we are still very happy to share our experiences, for example, with development strategies. But most importantly, I think we can help developers connecting to a number of EU-funded projects that we are working in, many of which we are leading, which also include access to test facilities. And most importantly, we can help them connect to the right partners from our network, where we have a lot of test facilities there at hand, like, for example, the Blue Accelerator, which is run by you and the POM West-Vlaanderen. So if you don't mind, just turn around and just ask you a few questions about the Blue Accelerator and give you a chance to introduce that yourself as well.
Sure.
So about the Blue Accelerator, actually, what do you do, and how does it differentiate maybe from other similar test facilities?
Yeah, the Blue Accelerator is an offshore platform with an exclusion zone, actually not far away from the location where we are now. So in a sense, offshore from the Belgium coast. We focus as a platform on the TRLs 4 to 7, so roughly in the middle to the end, up to the pre-commercial stage. And in terms of technology, we focus on roughly floating devices. So that can be wave converters, there can be floating PV devices, but certainly also multi-use applications where agriculture is combined with one energy form as well. But besides that, also we have other opportunities to have corrosion testing and, well, a whole host of other type of tests that can be applied. How we differentiate is that we have a quick access process. It is a pre-consented permitting process. So that means if a developer wants to put a device into the water, it can be managed very quickly. Besides that, we have also other specific support services, all in all, to create, in a way, a one-stop shop approach. Which I think is a great benefit, especially for the SMEs and the smaller players, to not bother themselves with all the requirements that are needed, the legal and other aspects. I hope that answers.
And is there like a specific type of developers that you focus on? You already mentioned the TRL, but is there other unique points that you can offer to them?
We focus, well, we have a pretty broad focus that varies from large industrial players to small and large SMEs, to project consortia, to any other type of academic institution or knowledge center that wishes to test as well as to demonstrate. And we focus on both the rather short-term testing as well as the longer-term demonstration. I think with that we have given a brief overview of what the two different test facilities are doing, and I would like to hand it over back to the host, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom and Simon. Thank you. Now, thirdly, there is an offshore wind energy MBA. An MBA for people who already work in the offshore wind industry, organized to bring them to the next level. Professor Dr. Wolfgang Lukas of the University of Applied Sciences Bremerhaven knows more about it.
I'm here on behalf of him because the wind energy MBA is the result of activity mainly of two universities, the Business Academy Southwest, SPIAC, and Bremerhaven perspective of businesses. I would like to start with the challenges which we had in this field. When we worked on Into Power, saw that still today is working with a lot of technical challenges and a fast development. Nevertheless, we see get bigger and bigger. The proportion of energy, we heard it this morning in the presentation of the minister, gets more and more. And so the industry is of a development process which is from just to saturated and developed industry. And that requires not technological, but it's managerial business. Together with the cost reduction, you might remember we saw first wind farm which will come without any subsidies, and not just the environmental benefit, but as well the economic position of offshore requires those competencies of different. What did we do? We formed advisory boards in Denmark and in Germany, where we most industry partners on board to really define what the industry needs. We developed together with them which modules should be part of the MBA. We developed contents. They helped us with the selection of suitable lecturers for the modules in this MBA. And lastly, we handed in concept as a joint degree program for accreditation. Very proud to announce beginning of March we received accreditation of this MBA. We were within Into Power strongly supported by cluster organizations in this project. Next step, I would like to go a little bit more into the MBA, how it looks like. It consists of 9 modules and the master thesis. You say formal MBA after program. And what you see here from future scenarios and operational leadership, which are more management and strategic topics, to specific things like innovation. We heard about that a lot today, about people management. We have a specific module on logistics. We focus as well on the expansion about international business. We look on the management of safety and risks, and last but not least, of the economic evaluation of such a. I would like to dedicate a little bit, maybe you remember your times at the university, sitting long time in seminars, how our MBA works. So it's where the lecturers present themselves. Then there is a reading page, literature as well as advanced literature for this module. Then after we address all over Europe, mostly targeted at the North Sea region. They meet for 2 days where they change and already focus on specific topics of first workshop, and this is a special we have as well. from business. We have a lecturers team.
Thank you, Professor. The connection is very, very difficult, but your PowerPoints, as you have presented, we will put that on our website so that people can find all the information about the MBA. Thank you. Now we go further with actually a testimonial about this MBA. The project manager of DEME Offshore, Frank Jonckheere, attended a few modules of the program, and he shares these experiences with us in the next video.
I'm Frank Jonckheere. I work as a project manager for DEME Offshore. DEME Offshore is a company specialized in offshore wind farm construction, but we are also a total solution provider where we do the design, the construction, the engineering and the installation of an entire wind farm. I was specifically interested in following an MBA course that can be linked to my day-to-day work and the industry that I'm working in. I also specifically like the fact that the courses are organized in different cities or different places across the North Sea, being the main region where I currently work. I really like the fact that there are 2 lecturers per course, one with an industrial background and one with a more academical background. That provides in fact the best of 2 worlds. On one hand, we are given an academical background as an introduction to the course topic, and on the other hand, the industry expert guarantees that the cases are real-time, based on the specific offshore wind energy business, and are very accurate.